Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. There's a saying I once heard that a dog that will bring a bone will also carry a bone. What does this mean? It means is that somebody brings you gossip, you could be sure that just like they're bringing you a bone, they'll also carry a bone. They'll take your stories, your business, and they'll go and tell other people about you. Basically, don't trust the gossipers because it's a two-way street. Something quite interesting in this week's Torah portion. We have 53 commandments in this week's Torah portion, which is the numerical value of the word gan, a garden. It's like a garden of laws between man and man. The rabbis not only look at every one of the 53 commandments, but they look at the juxtaposition between one commandment and the other, because the order of the commandments can also teach you great lessons. So one of the two commandments there's two commandments side by side that go like this. One verse says in this week's parsha, you should be a holy nation, and therefore you shouldn't eat non-kosher food. And what should you do with your non-kosher food? You should throw it to your dogs. That's a verse in this week's Torah portion. The very next verse says, you should not receive gossip. You should not receive false or gossipy reports about others, nor should you lend your hand in relaying gossip about other people. So the Talmud, Rabbi Scheiner says in the Talmud, what's the connection between not eating kosher meat and giving it to your dog? And the very next commandment, don't receive or repeat gossip. What does throwing your non-kosher meat to the dogs have to do with gossip? That the two commandments are put side by side. And Rabbi Scheiner gives an amazing answer. He says like this: we know that one of the reasons why we throw our non-kosher meat to the dog is because God is rewarding the dogs. Why is God rewarding the dogs? Because after the 10th plague of the killing of the firstborn, there was a wailing and weeping in Egypt because there wasn't a home where a firstborn didn't die. And suddenly the Jews are going free. So when millions of people leave a country and there's wailing, you expect the dogs to start howling. But it says the dogs didn't bark when the Jews left Egypt. So the Torah says, and the rabbis say, God doesn't withhold reward even from any creature, even from a dog. So now when you have a piece of non-kosher meat, you can't eat it. Feed it to your dog as a reward for not barking. Says Rav Scheiner, you know why the commandment of giving your non-kosher food to the dog is followed by not speaking gossip? Because we humans have to learn from dogs. The dogs knew when to keep their mouth closed. The dogs knew, even the dogs knew, there's a time you control your mouth. The impulse of the dog is to bark and to wail and to howl and to make noise. But the dog knew, Hashem says, now be quiet, the Jews are going out. Sometimes we have to realize that not only are we the master of the dog, but we have to be the master of our desires and our impulses. And sometimes, even though you have a real urge to tell somebody a juicy story you just heard, if a dog knew how to keep his mouth closed, surely you human beings should learn how to keep your mouth closed when it's inappropriate to speak gossip. And that's why right after the law of not eating kosher meat and giving it to the dog, Torah says, and don't speak gossip or even receive gossip, because if you do, you're worse than the dog, or you are a dog if you did that. That is the message the Talmud says of the two commandments. And we always say, teach the dog a new trick. Sometimes we have to learn from our dogs, not only teach our dogs, but learn from our dogs. It's a story told about a guy who was going on vacation to a hotel. So he wrote a letter to the hotel management. He said, I'm coming on vacation to your hotel. I have a dog, a pet. Am I allowed to bring my dog with me? And the hotel manager wrote back to him and said, listen, I've been a hotel manager for over 40 years. I've never had to kick a dog out of my hotel in the middle of the night or eject him because he fell asleep smoking a cigarette and burnt the mattress, or got drunk and trashed the room, or snuck illegal, unwelcome guests into his hotel room for a party, or stole towels or bathrobes from my hotel. I never had that problem with a dog. So your dog is more than welcome. And if your dog could vouch for you, you're also welcome to come to our hotel.